Do y'all remember when Trump said that the 2020 election was stolen? And then came January 6th? Does anyone, left or right, want to go through that again? Yeah, me neither. So, doesn't it make sense to close any loopholes in the system before we're back in that chaos? Doesn't it make sense to make the system as trustworthy as possible? So why isn't every congressperson supporting voter ID requirements? On April 10th, the House passed the SAVE Act, which requires proof of citizenship for voter registration. It barely passed. Every Republican voted for it. 4 Democrats voted for it. 208 Democrats voted against it. That means 98% of Democrats voted against the bill. And yet, 84% of Americans support voter ID. So why did these Congress people vote against it? Well, here's an argument.
The reason Democrats don't want voter ID is because they make it much more difficult for elderly people, people that don't travel, don't have a passport, poor people, that don't have cars, don't have driver's licenses. So it's sort of a vestige of, I think, post-slavery laws where black people had to prove their right to vote. It also affects women that are married. Maybe your passport reflects something that's different on your birth certificate or on your driver's license. So really the bottom line is voter suppression.
Okay, but consider this. It costs $10 to $30 to get a valid ID. If it's that much of a problem, can't we just subsidize IDs for low-income people like Georgia and North Carolina do? Married women needing to update their documents? Yep, that is inconvenient. Senior citizens needing to go to the DMV because their driver's license expired and they no longer drive? Yep, that's inconvenient too. Over 1.2 million black people and 500,000 Hispanic eligible voters living more than 10 miles from an ID office? Yeah, that's inconvenient too. And you know what's more inconvenient than all of this? Half the country claiming that the election is stolen every 4 to 8 years. The other half of the country insisting it wasn't stolen, but refusing to close the loophole through which it theoretically could be stolen. It doesn't help that just last week, Doge revealed that there was an unknown number of Social Security numbers tied to illegal immigrants that voted in 2024.
We were in Social Security looking for fraud, waste, and abuse. And to do that, we actually looked at the enumeration system, the system by which people get numbers in America. And we found that there were just about 5+ million of them that came to the country as illegals, were giving various forms of parole or allowed in the country, and they got through an automatic system, Social Security numbers, so they get into our benefit systems. And we tracked that through and found that they were on the benefit programs. And just because we were curious, we then looked to see if they were on the voter rolls. And we found in a handful of cooperative states that there were thousands of them on the voter rolls and that many of them had voted.
Look, every decision has trade-offs. Of course there are cons to voter ID, but the pros massively outweigh the cons. If the Democratic leaders are so concerned about these cons, just make it easier to get an ID. And how about we just be real and acknowledge that every citizen has the right to vote, and exercising that right is a little inconvenient for everyone. But we're responsible adults and we can handle it. So can we stop treating every inconvenience like it's a massive injustice? But to speculate here, regardless of what specific reasons Democrats have for opposing this bill, I just think they'll oppose what the Republicans do no matter what. And this is an exhausting feature of the two-party system. It was absurd when the Republicans did it, and it's absurd now that the Democrats are. But the good news is, more of the country identifies as independent now than ever. And the less that we, the people, tolerate this childish behavior, the more that we can start getting adults in office who are more loyal to the people than their party. So when it's time to vote next year in the midterm elections, remember this, because if a politician cares less about the will of the people than being the opposition, you should vote them out of their position.